Welcome to the Igniting Hope Beliefs Gym. So glad you made it. You are an overcomer. You are committed to your own growth. Today's message is going to be such a good one, achieving versus improving. Get that in a moment. But wow, love to work out beliefs. You know, we all push against resistance. We get muscle by pushing against resistance. And in our beliefs, we get muscles by pushing against emotional resistance. The message is that our circumstances are trying to tell us. That's why James 1:2 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith," and it goes on to say what the result is of passing the test. It's lacking nothing. And it's in the trial, it's in the challenge that it's a testing of our beliefs. Because those trials and challenges are trying to send us a message of who we are, what our potential is, that we're a victim, we're at a disadvantage, we need to live in regret. It's not changing. And so they're trying to send us a message. And it's in that resistance that we push against it with God's promises, with our identity, with our prophetic words, with the prophecies that are contained in testimonies, with what we believe God has told us, and we push against it. That's how we get muscle. That's how we get strong beliefs. Nobody wants flabby beliefs, because if we have flabby beliefs, our load-bearing capacity is limited. Our resilience is limited. Our bounce back ability is limited. Now, today I want to talk about achieving versus improving. And the point I want to make, I love achieving. I love having goals, but if we have an achievement mindset that's greater than an improvement mindset, then when we achieve, or it's potentially going to lead to complacency. But if we don't achieve what is our ideal or our goal, then there's a tendency to not enjoy the journey. Now, I've achieved a lot of things. I remember as a high school senior that I caught the winning 2-point conversion for our team that ultimately caused us to win the championship of our football league. I remember as a baseball pitcher, I was not one of the best pitchers in the league, but I had a game where I matched up against the best pitcher in the league with pretty much the best team, and I won 1-0. I beat him, shut him out. I achieved. I remember, writing books. I've achieved some goals, traveling internationally. But I want to say this, that living for achievement, living for a goal doesn't bring lasting joy. It doesn't bring lasting fulfillment because our priority is in the wrong place. Let me give you another example of something that was outwardly a great achievement. My wife Wendy and I were ministering to Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry students first year a few years ago, and the room blew up. We were talking about hope. We were talking about joy, beliefs, renewing the mind, and they got it. They got revelation. There was an explosion of hope. There's an explosion of joy, and students ran to the front just shouting and receiving. And it was one of the greatest meetings I've been in. But I remember leaving. Wendy and I were driving away from a euphoric experience. And I said, that didn't move me as much. And ultimately, I love it. I love to celebrate those, but I'm not living for that. That was what I was thinking. I'm not living for that. I'm living for getting better. I'm living for improvement. I'm living because I realize this, that it isn't something outward that makes me a success, because success is not a goal to be attained. It's a state of being. Success is not a goal to be attained through something happening, getting something. And again, I like that. Those are great confirmations for us. They help us know we're on the right track, and I like it. But it's not it's not in that where I get my life. Because the way the Lord makes great leaders and great influencers is he makes us successful on the inside when we don't look successful on the outside. That's what he does. That's what desert experiences are. And so even today, I'm as I'm talking about this, I see the Lord is doing something in you. He's doing something in me that's incredible. Achieving versus improving. There's a Japanese word called kaizen. I remember reading a book by an author, a pastor in San Francisco. I can't remember his name right now, but the book was called Just Add Water. And he was talking about the difference between the American mindset and the Japanese mindset, because the word kaizen comes from, it's a Japanese word, and it's this. It refers, which means improvement or change for the better. Kaizen is defined as a continuous effort by each and every employee, from the CAO to the field staff, to ensure that there's continual improvement. There's continual. Now, he was saying that the American mindset is to work really hard at building something, and then step back and then admire it and then move on to something else rather than continue to improve what was built. And I really like that. And I wanted to live a life where I'm improving. I'm an itinerant minister. I want to improve every part of what I do: the planning, the travel, the eating, the eating on the trip, the honoring of leaders, the understanding, the asking good questions, planning the finances in advance. Whatever it is, I want to keep improving. I want to keep improving how I speak. I want to keep improving these podcasts. I want to keep improving the online courses we do. I want to keep improving my relationship with my wife. I want to keep improving how I do relationships with the rest of my family. Just improve with ideas and just asking the question, how can we do this better? And I'm not talking about perfectionism where we're never happy until something is perfect, because the perfectionism mindset is a mindset that is fixated on what's wrong. The improvement mindset is fixated on what we can make better. What we can make better. I think about achievements. I think about our Backlund Leadership Academy, where we're ending our first year. We've had 40 students going through that. And one of the things that they got to do was have a dream project. Write a book by the end of the year, start an online course, start a blog, start a business, start something that's going to benefit others. Do something. And it's amazing. The books, the courses, the other things it's been amazing, the things that have come out. It's been a great achievement. But I will say this, we celebrate that, but I love the hunger of our students who are, hey, I'm more concerned about my growth than about what I do. And by the way, we're starting again in September. We have limited space for students in our Backlund Leadership Academy, 6 to 8 hours a week online. You can find out about that at the ignitinghopeacademy.com. Hey, just one more thing I want to talk about on this topic. And by the way, the Lord's going to give you insight on it. I'm just opening this thing up, and he's going to give you personal insight on what I'm talking about achieving versus improving. Now, Think about beliefs and what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about our life. And in psychology, there's two main things that it's the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Now, I totally don't believe in the fixed mindset because I've said all along that God has not put a limit on our life. He hasn't limited our life. There's no limit to how much we can renew our mind, so there's no limit to how much we can be transformed. If God wanted us to think small and with limitations about ourselves, he did a bad job in telling us so. So definitely believe in a growth mindset, but the fixed mindset is this. It's that my giftings, my abilities, my talents are fixed. I'm either smart in math or I'm not smart in math. I either have the gift of healing or I don't have the gift of healing. I either can speak well in front of others or I can't. That's the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is that I can improve. I can get better. I heard something the other day that really struck me. People, hear this, people with a fixed mindset worry most about how they are judged. But those with a growth mindset focus most on improving. People with a fixed mindset worry most about how they are judged, but those with a growth mindset focus most on improving. Because if we have a fixed mindset and we think, well, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, then, or I'm poor, I'm going to, that's who I am, I'm less than. I'm less than other people, then we're worried about being judged when we do something. And by the way, it's going to cause us to bury our talents. It's going to cause us to shrink back. It's going to cause us to not take risks. It's going to cause us to develop belief systems when things are hard that will limit what can happen, but a growth mindset. Wow, I'm learning, I'm growing. I love to use the example of a toddler learning to walk. If a toddler learning to walk had a fixed mindset, they would say to themselves, I can't walk because I've never walked. I tried once and it was hard. I fell down. Now there's a growth mindset. I mean, that's to tell us. I mean, those who succeed most also seem to fail most. Let me say that again. Those who succeed most also seem to fail most because we don't call it failure. We call it learning. I'm learning. I'm improving. I took a half a step. You know, if many parents were like Christian leaders, here's what they would say to their toddler. They trying to walk and falling down. Quit trying to walk. You're being presumptuous and prideful. It's obvious you don't have the gift of walking. Because if you had the gift of walking, it wouldn't be so hard. You wouldn't be struggling so much. And by the way, if you had the gift of walking, you'd already be walking. Don't you know walking ceased with the apostles? I love to throw that one in. It's clear that God has predestined you and you're fixed with the gift of crawling. Be content in that state. No, that's ridiculous. And just because something's hard, even walking in joy and hope, if it's hard for you, that doesn't mean anything. You're learning. The Apostle Paul said, whether I'm abounding or abased, he said this in Philippians 4:11 and 12, I've learned to be content. I've learned. So if you're not content yet, you're learning. You're improving. You're getting better. This thing is huge. Because if we have a fixed mindset where we've limited ourselves with self-limiting beliefs, self-limiting statements, I'm not good at this. I don't work well with others. I'm not administrative. I'm broken. I'm different. There's something uniquely wrong with me. I don't, my personality doesn't do joy. I'm hard to receive. I'm hard to receive of the Holy Spirit. I don't hear from God like other people. Those things are not true. But we think they are. And we get fixed on them. And then this whole thing about I'm just trying to achieve something rather than become something. I'm not rather than improving, then that becomes stronger with the fixed mindset. I'm hoping to achieve, to give myself identity, validity, significance. My, oh my. When people with a fixed mindset hit a setback or have a failure, they tend to conclude they're incapable. So to protect their ego, they lose interest or they withdraw. Someone's going to want to push repeat on that thing. And we who look at them observe their lack of motivation. We think it's a lack of motivation, but it's really a mindset. Those with a growth mindset see setbacks as a part of growth. Wow, achieving versus improving. You're improving. You're improving. Man, it's exciting. You're improving of how to do life. You're improving of how to manage your time. You're improving of how to approach that personal weakness. You're improving in how to do relationships with people who it's difficult for you. You're improving in being able to express yourself. You're improving in not allowing anger to hinder your favor in relationships. You're improving. I love this message today, achieving versus improving. And you are going to achieve a lot. You're going to achieve. I mean, but again, the achievement isn't, we don't achieve for identity. We achieve from identity. I'm achieving for identity, then I'm going to do another lap in the wilderness. All right, hey, I got to stop. Hey, that was a good belief workout. Whew, somebody's going to listen to this one again. What do we got going? Hey, my course, Fully Convinced, is starting in mid-June, 8-week online course. If you're looking for something that to just jumpstart your life, if you love these podcasts and you want to go to the next level, maybe you've done it in the past and you want to do it again, my book, Fully Convinced, and it's got a video every week. It has some audio that goes along with that. We're going to have weekly Zoom sessions as well. Connie Jones and I, the Associate Director of Igniting Hope, and I will be doing weekly Zoom Q&A and connection times. It's online 1 to 2 hours a week. Fully Convinced is probably my most complete book I've ever written. I've written 20 books, and that one, I believe, packs it all in. Packs it all in. The beliefs, the hope, the joy, the declarations, mindsets. It's in there. If you can't afford it, let us know what you can do. info@ignitinghope.com. You can find Fully Convinced information on it on ignitinghope.com. And again, we're starting our academy, the Backlund Leadership Academy, in September. You know, some of you, and this isn't for everybody, obviously, but there's some of you listening, it's for you. So I don't have the money. Well, decide and he will provide. You can check it out, ignitinghopeacademy.com. I believe if somebody spends 9 months with me, they'll never be the same again. And I believe the 40 students we've had this year would testify about that. So it is exciting. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. Why don't you tell somebody else about these podcasts? And I just want to remind you, we're here to ignite your hope. There's no hopeless circumstances. There's just people who do not have hope. And once people get true hope, circumstances cannot stay the same. I believe after love, hope is the most powerful leadership, influential quality that there is. Our hope level determines our influence level, and who has the most hope has the most influence. Our hopelessness about a problem is almost always bigger than the problem because our lack of hope tells us we're renewing our mind with lies about that situation, whatever it is, personal, financial, relational, nationwide, whatever it is. It's the problem. Because transformation, Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from believing higher. And remember, too, the joy of the Lord is your strength. A merry heart is good like medicine. I used to say, well, I'll be joyful at the end of the battle. And when all my uncertainties are over, then I'll be joyful. Well, you don't need strength then. You don't need health then. You need it now. For pretty much everybody listening right now, this is just not a good season to be radically joyful. Let's laugh at that. Ha ha. Woohoo. There's never convenient to be radically joyful because even after we achieve. I mean, I think about Elijah. He had one of the greatest achievements in all of the Bible. In 1 Kings 18, he called fire down from heaven to burn consume a sacrifice, and he overcame 400 prophets of Baal, one against 400. My, oh my. But even after that, the next chapter, he was depressed and suicidal. and the achievement, the joy from achievement is not long lasting. It opens doors. I'm not saying it's not important, but what's happening in us is more important than what's happening through us. What's happening in us is more important than what's happening to us, and this is a key to joy. We stir up joy through thanksgiving, focusing more on what we have than what we don't have. We focus more on how far we've come rather than how far we need to go. We delight in the Lord. Delighting in the Lord is the opposite of the spirit of heaviness. The delighter is saying, woohoo, Lord, I can't wait to see what you're going to do in that. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to do it. Joy is the childlike wonder and excitement of working with God instead of working for God. Joy is the childlike wonder and excitement of working with God instead of working for God. Hey, thanks so much for participating in this podcast. I bless you. I speak blessing and protection over you, and that the spirit of revelation comes upon you. I speak health in your relationships, in your body, in your finances, and ideas, and the promises of God manifesting in your emotions and manifesting in your experience. In Jesus' name. God bless. Thanks so much.